With the rise of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Hasbro has done an amazing job of finding ways to use this to constantly keep Marvel Legends on shelf. What do I mean by this? Well, you'll notice that for most Marvel movies, you get a Marvel Legends wave. Well, you usually get more than one wave. And the waves are linked to the movie product line, not a master Marvel license peg, if you will, the way something like Black Series is with Star Wars. So that means that if you have one wave of Marvel Legends that doesn't sell and has to be put on clearance, it doesn't affect the next wave because the next wave is part of the next movie set for the next film coming out. And beyond this change in the way the assortments are tied together, Hasbro has also used the movies as a way of bringing out characters that are related to the movie, but in their comic book traditional, sort of more universal look, such as this Civil War wave that accompanied the movie wave. I think this was actually wave one. And you got a lot of Captain America's allies and enemies, but in their classic comic look. Likewise, when Doctor Strange, well, actually at this point it's not out yet, but the Doctor Strange movie that's coming out very soon, and it includes Sleepwalker, a character who might not otherwise have found a way to get out, but because he's related to magic and Doctor Strange. And again, likewise with the Spider-Man Far From Home movie line, then you got classic comic book versions of Hydro Man and Scorpion and the Doubleganger, Spider-Woman, that accompanied movie villains and movie versions of Spider-Man. So now that everyone in the world knows what this is, I want to talk about my love for Infinity Gauntlet. And yes, I did enjoy the movie a lot, but more so the comic book. This was my first major Marvel event comic. My parents mailed it to me my second summer at summer camp. The first summer was my introduction to comics through Iron Man, and the second summer my parents followed up by sending me Infinity Gauntlet 1 and 2 on the recommendation of the owner of the comic book shop, who said, yeah, it's got to like these, it's got all the characters in it. And it did, and it was a great introduction to the Marvel Universe, and it really became my gateway to almost all of comicdom. Before this, I had just read single issues with one character. Suddenly, this was an entire universe, all, battling the ultimate evil. And it was, not only a great way to discover the Marvel Universe, but it really influenced just visually. I love the way, the story was told, and even things like, the way Thanos was tearing apart Nebula there. You can see that showing up in some of the He-Man comic books that I wrote. So the influence is there. And while, yes, I know the snap has become like the most important part of the movie, and it wasn't as much part of the comic, I do appreciate that, there are moments from the comic that now mass culture knows and can appreciate. All right, so besides working in the toy industry, I'm also a collector myself, and I have a lot of toys. With Marvel Legends in particular, and I obviously have a passion for Marvel Comics, I am very select in what I get. Oh, that was kind of like a Marvel toy joke. I'm select at the Marvel Legends I get? Okay, never mind. So Spider-Man villains and X-Men kind of 1992 is my bread and butter, but I've really, really wanted to complete this comic panel, if you will, and create Thanos and the Marvel Universe in battle a la 1991 Infinity Gauntlet, and actually, do the versions of the characters from the comic, which were very popular versions of the characters. It's not like these were obscure, weird versions. I mean, Thor had his mask, but now that the whole world knows who these characters are from multiple Avengers movies, selling, essential versions from the 90s, to me, felt like a no-brainer. But wow, building the Infinity Gauntlet storyline has been a slow build. I mean, toy collecting in general is a slow build, but this has been, we're talking like 30 years of trying to do this, 20 years? So 20 years, because the Spider-Man, the very first Marvel Legends that was pre-Marvel Legends name, this is the best Spider-Man that's ever come out that's been in the look that George Perez did for Infinity Gauntlet. And the Iron Man wasn't released until the Epic Heroes line. We finally got a Wolverine a few years ago, both in box, and now we got Quasar, who just came out a few months ago. Again, a very, very slow build. Waiting for that version of the Vision. I passed on the box set version with Hulk, waiting for a correct one with Thanos. Wow. For a character that was like the main villain, boy, did it just, it took so long to get this. I had actually had my Marvel Select Thanos for so long as my stand-in. And while I'm not totally happy we didn't get like a closed fist with the gems in favor of the snapping hand, it was definitely better than the previous attempts at doing a comic book accurate Thanos, which were just, to me, This one in particular, doing the classic colors on the modern look, was just like, no, just give us this one. This is what we want. And they did. We got the snapping finger. I really want the fist with the gems like he has kind of on the cover, but oh well. Now, beyond the main Marvel heroes that everyone now knows, there were characters that were very, very big in the Infinity Gauntlet story that we're still waiting for figures of. I mean, Adam Warlock in particular has been around in Marvel since, the 70s. I mean, granted, he spent most of the 80s in Soul World, but, he played a big part. All of the cosmic beings played a huge role in the storyline. It wasn't just Galactus, but like every cosmic being in the Marvel Universe battling Thanos and eventually Nebula. And yeah, I always thought they could take the approach that Toy Biz did with Treebeard, where they did a giant Treebeard that went with the 6-inch figures, but they also just did a 6-inch Treebeard, thank you, for those who just, wanted one for their desk. So, maybe that's something they could do with Galactus. Who knows? So, yeah, back to the movies. So, the way Hasbro's been able to use the movies as a launching pad to not only keep Marvel Legends on pegs, but to introduce the movie versions of the characters paired with more sort of the timeless comic book look. For the most part, we've really only gotten movie versions of the heroes. We haven't gotten, the version of Thor from the comic book where he's wearing, the mask over his eyes, or, again, Adam Warlock, Hulk in, with the bodysuit, the X Factor version of Cyclops. So there are kind of specific versions, and they are recognizable. When I was at Entertainment Earth, we actually did a Pinmate set for this, and this is what I thought Hasbro was going to be doing. I was fully expecting Hasbro to blow this away, where we put out Pinmates for every character from the cover of the Charge scene there from Infinity Gauntlet 3, and even the characters that were the X-Men family that had a different license because of the whole 20th Century Fox thing. We did those as an accompanying 3-pack. And then you could actually pop out the 3 mutant characters and put them in empty slots in the main box set so that everybody could come together. So, it was sold as multiple SKUs, but it was just a way of sort of like navigating that weird license. And then, yeah, again, you can see the empty slots there that are reserved for Scarlet Witch and Cyclops and Wolverine. So, yeah, I thought Hasbro, of course, was going to do all the classic characters in their Infinity Gauntlet look, and we'll get Nebula, with the Gauntlet or in, her burn form. This was actually a 2-in-1 reverse figure. But yeah, I mean, we got Thanos. Finally got our classic Thanos because of the Infinity Saga movies. But there's so many characters still waiting to complete the scene. And I mean, again, slow build. This goes back to the very first 6-inch Marvel modern toy, that Spider-Man Classics figure that led to Marvel Legends and, led to Toy Biz and then Hasbro. Not to mention the fact that now that the whole, Fantastic Four set of characters that were tied up with 20th Century Fox, much like the mutants, are now available, well, we can finally get Firelord and Mephisto and, again, Adam Warlock, like the lead character. I know we did get this Target exclusive version of Adam Warlock a few years ago, but, oh man, I mean, come on, he's got white skin. Adam Warlock doesn't have white skin. He has gold skin. That's like what makes him Adam Warlock. And the skin, I actually had to repaint this figure. It's the only Marvel Legends I own where I actually took a paintbrush to it because it just drove me crazy. But come on, you guys could fix this. Plus, like, I want one that doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet permanently on his hand. I guess there's been worse Adam Warlock, so yeah, it's not the end of the world. But come on, Adam Warlock. He's going to be part of the MCU now. He needs his classic figures. Not to mention, Pip the Troll is part of the Marvel Universe, and Pip and Adam go together like, Batman and Robin, or Spider-Man and a giant pair of scissors. So we need these guys. They're in the Marvel Universe, but we want the classic versions of them, not just the, well, come on, this can't be the only Pip the Troll that we ever get, right? I mean, come on. It's like embarrassing for Pip that this is his only action figure. Hashtag Pip figures too. Not to mention, almost everyone on Adam Warlock's sort of, post Infinity Gauntlet team are all, they're like members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And we're talking Drax and Gamora in classic comic looks. So you're dealing with characters that the public is now aware of. I mean, in Moondragon, come on, the more said about Moondragon, the better. Who doesn't want like a giant bikini wielding bald, chick with disco boots, cape? Moondragon's cool. All right, so I know I've been on a personal quest to see Spot become a Marvel Legend in the Spider-Man line, but even more so, especially because I know Spot's already sculpted, we need Infinity Gauntlet figures. And come on, there's 22 movies that the public has to reference these characters to, so they know who they are. And the versions from Infinity Gauntlet set up the movie. While movie characters are great, they do come and go, and they're replaced by new versions of movies, meaning new versions of action figures. But the comic book versions are kind of timeless, and that's why, since they're not tied to one particular interpretation. And I love getting the movie figures, I love watching the movies, but I really want to get those comic versions of the characters that inspired this blockbuster story that the public is now fully aware of and invested in and would be interested in getting toys of. So they're all cool, iconic looks, and my quest will go on. How long will it take till we get the entire Infinity Gauntlet saga in action figure form, or at least, the main characters? I don't think anyone's expecting to get, like, Annihilus or something. He's on 2 panels. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do share it with others. Are you also collecting Infinity Gauntlet figures? Anyone else out there with me? Where's our Pip the Troll? Hashtag Pip Toys Matter.